Britain's once active seaside villages are now being left unloved and rotting with coastal erosion, building development, and population growth having a significant impact on these hidden gems. Kenfig. Kenfig is a village and former borough in Bridgend, Wales. It is situated 1 mile inland on the north bank of the Bristol Channel, and just southwest of the M4 motorway. To the east is the town of Bridgend, at approximately 6 miles, and the capital city of Cardiff, at 24 miles. It is believed that the village was once a small Roman settlement, with a fort that is, it has been suggested, the lost fort between Cardiff and Neath, and there is some evidence that the area was home to some Vikings at some point. Dunwich. Dunwich village stands a few miles from Southwold, on the Suffolk coast. However, it used to be a much larger town brimming with people. In the 11th century, it had a large port, a naval base, 2 seats in Parliament and 1/6 of the population of London. However, with a coast that is fastest eroding, the village's fortune changed. A storm surge in 1286 and 2 great storms the following year led to the fall of this village and the decline was sealed. Dunwich is now home to fewer than 200 people, with just a couple of amenities and a pub. Many of the original buildings tumbled over a cliff, and now rest up to 10 meters below the waterline. Despite this, some buildings are still identifiable. Hall Sands. Hall Sands is a village and beach in South Devon, England. In a precarious position between cliffs and the sea. Between B Sands to the north and Start Point to the south. In 1917, with the next high tide, the walls broke and the village was destroyed. Only one house remained in any way habitable. The highest in the village, that of the Pritijon family. The beach had protected the village from all but the worst storms, and with much of the sand gone, Hall Sands became vulnerable to storm force wind and waves. The remnants of the beachside village are not open to the public, but a viewing platform was built on the hill overlooking Hall Sands. Rattray. The ancient burg was located near to Crimond, but the village was largely destroyed and never recovered after a storm in the 18th century that covered it in shifting sands from the nearby dunes at Rattray Head. Binand. Binand, also known as Binand Village and the Bin, is an abandoned industrial village located 2 miles north of Burnt Island in Fife. It was established in the late 1870s to house workers at the nearby shale oil extraction works. Binand comprised just 128 homes, but had a population of more than 750, so many of the houses were horribly overcrowded. Some reports even say that workers had to sleep in the loft rafters. The extraction works closed after just over a decade, and nearly everyone in the town left very quickly. In current times, the local town of Burnt Island has swallowed the village. Tyneham. Tyneham is a ghost village abandoned in 1943 and a former civil parish, now in the parish of Steeple with Tyneham, in the Dorset district, in the south of Dorset, near Lulworth on the Isle of Purbeck. In 2001, the civil parish had a population of 0. Despite being a military training area, the area has flourished with wildlife, as the land has not been subject to farming or development. There are numerous footpaths through the village that are open when the firing range isn't being used, although some of the original buildings have become derelict or have been damaged as a result of shelling. Ecclesiastes Eccles is a village in the English county of Kent. Part of the parish of Aylesford and in the valley of the River Medway. It is near to the site of a Roman villa estate and pottery kiln, excavated between 1962 and 1976. The site was occupied from a decade or so after the Roman invasion up until the end of Roman rule. The villa underwent at least 4 main phases of construction. There is possible evidence of a military influence in the initial period. Winchelsea. Winchelsea is a small town in the county of East Sussex, located between the High Weald and the Romney Marsh, approximately 2 miles southwest of Rye and 7 miles northeast of Hastings. Old Winchelsea was a fairly important town in the 13th century, with trade links to northern France and its wine regions. Records show that there were over 700 houses and a plethora of inns and taverns around this time, suggesting a population of a couple of thousand people. In present times, a large part of the village is situated a little bit further inland, on a hillside. Skipsea is a village and civil parish on the North Sea coast of the East Riding of Yorkshire, England. It is situated approximately 10 miles south of Burlington and 6 miles north of Hornsey on the B1242 road at its junction with the B1249. There have been over 30 towns and villages lost along this stretch of coast, including one called Ravensor Odd.